Hello and welcome everybody to tonight's Truth Proof live stream. Paul Sinclair, how are you, Paul?
I'm all right, thanks, Les. Yeah, busy day again today. Good weekend. Enjoyed it. Some friends come to stay in area and we spent a bit of time with them. And yeah. Got to spend a bit of time up around Danes Dyke at night as well, which was always interesting. Always interesting. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been desperately looking around for any recent quality UFO reports, and I'm not finding anything this year at all. Of any. We're not getting these waves that we used to have like years ago, Paul. You know what I mean? And we're not getting the reports through. So, I'm just wondering what's happening there then.
Well, to say it's opening up and people are talking more, like you just said, we're not getting low. There doesn't seem to be loads out there. I'm getting a few reports, which is quite good. I've got to. Oh, Don called yesterday, which one I said, Don who does website, Don Lodge. She called round to see us, quite out at blue, and I've got to fire a few reports for website at Don. So we've got some. I mean, we've been up on Clifftops, and I went with Ian. I don't know if he's in chat today, but me and Ian went to look at a location where something allegedly landed, which were interesting. But we'll just have a look before we get to any of this. Like we said, like Alison, who's doing moderating for us, posted, it's your time tonight, people. So if you've got any questions, just send us some questions in capitals. But let's just have a look. We've got Joey Hayes in, Yorkshire Grey, Robert Hilton, Fred Flintstone, Leveler, Nuki Brown, Stargazer. I saw Kim King, Thuda. And we know Alison's there. Stargaze Return, Lanny French, Boynton, Karen Behrman, Elaine's in, because I saw a name earlier, Patrick Daniel, Carl Dan's in, and there's going to be names that I've missed there, Branch Snapper, as Michael Armstrong, Dragonborn, apologies. I've got new glasses today, and I'm going to test these, but...
you probably need to send them back and get them changed for you.
But John Alexander, so happy Sunday to you, mate, And just fire some questions at us. But there were an incredible sighting in area recently. But I just for 2 minutes, I want to jump to one that kind of ties in, and it's from Weverthor. And you've heard me talk about Weverthor on Wolds before, and tiny village, but you get lots of UFO reports from around that area. Not just from one person, I might add. So that's what makes it even more interesting when you've got people who don't know each other. And this one's from a man who sent me a report, and he I think he saw it 24. Well, I know he saw it 24th of March 2023. Time were around 8 o'clock at night, and he said he'd just put his daughter to bed. And this village, if you don't know Weverthor, just Google it and have a look. It's just literally a road that runs through a village, and then you've got the wolds, which in Yorkshire dialect means the wilds, and you've got the wolds all around you. A lot of there's woodland, but a lot of it's just grazing land and what have you. He said after he put his daughter to bed, it was hot. He'd been cooking, so he went and stood at back door just to get a bit of fresh air. He said he faced west, and he saw a circle of orange rising up, so it had been on ground. Big circle of amber, orange, whatever, rising up from behind some trees, and travelled above trees, just level ground behind it. It's not fell away, and there's no sort of big hills in distance. And he said it was 1.5 to 2 times bigger than the size of a full moon. Now that would be an incredible sight, wouldn't it? And it's travelling up, like a harvest moon, maybe. I don't know. He says when it was fully in view, it had a wavy line that was the same colour as the outer circle, which were a little bit darker, and it were about 80 degrees in direction. He says it rose quickly. It rose up into clouds until it disappeared into the clouds. This is Weverthor, little village. Surely other people must have seen this. He only had a view of it for about 5 seconds. March 2023. I'm not expecting anybody in chat to be. Oh, I'm from Weverthor. I saw that. I know that one person comes in chat from Weverthor, but it's not this man, unless he's not told us and he's in the chat. And he says he found it mesmerizing. He didn't have his phone on him. to hand, so he didn't take a picture, but it's been in his mind ever since. I'm normally I'd say, oh, this guy a farmer, or this fella's or woman is this profession, but because of his profession, I'm not going to say it because it will identify him. So it's a great sighting.
Well, because he only saw it for roughly about 5 seconds, you say that it's hardly any time to pick a phone up and unlock it and switch it on and record. You're not likely to do that, yeah.
No, that's true. And if there's any questions, we'll go to them. Has anyone seen Orbs inside? I'm sorry for reading that one out, Alison, before you got to it. But is there any questions? Just put them up, because then otherwise I'll move to this next sighting that kind of ties in with that one.
Well, I'll ask a general question here from Bob. After the Robbie Williams interview, will you be having Sean Ryder on, Paul, as a guest?
We will try. We will try. It's been suggested, and kind of word has been put out to try and reach out and see whether he'd come on. So we will try, and I think what he's got to say will be just as valid as anybody else has got to say,
Yeah, I think some of these high profile guests, sometimes they take quite a long while to get into there and reach out to them. It takes months, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, then. So
I can see a question there. Right, we'll do that. Shane Roberts.
Shane, you want Shane on? Yeah. So, Paul, what's your thoughts now on our encounter on Friday night on the Clifftops? Well, I don't know anything about it.
Well, for anybody that don't know Shane, and the few people in chat may do, but Shane occasionally comes up onto Clifftops with us. And on this occasion, Friday night, Alex Thompson picked Shane up and they drove up and they met me, Ian and Pete. And Jeremy. Don't want to miss Jeremy out, because a lot of respect for Jeremy. He travels from Fylingdales 2 or 3 times a week to spend time with us. And anybody that knows area of Fylingdales knows that over the years it has been a prolific area for high strangeness, near the RAF base. RAF Fylingdales. Yeah. So maybe that tells you just how special Bempton and Speeton is. This guy's coming down from there to spend time with us. Anyway, I can't remember time. I think it were after 10. And I only caught something in my peripheral, so I can't really comment on this, Shane, as deeply as what you guys can. So I can only describe what you saw. But they claim to have seen, I saw a light, but a red to purple light kind of revolving. I know Shane said it looked rectangular, and it were very low and very close, about 6 or 8 foot off the ground and very, very close. And they were quite animated about it. And yeah, that's just another element of the strangeness that's up there. And I know it really took them by surprise. They're sort of getting animated and shouted. It had just disappeared, and I saw a light just blink out.
So was this over the sea or over the land?
No, this well, probably put it up in chat, Shane, if you want, but I would have thought 25 to 30 foot away. You tell people in chat now just how far away you think it was, but that's my take on it. Because I weren't there. Sorry, I didn't see it. I were there. I want some space cakes. No, I didn't see it. I just kind of turned round and whatever it were, had just blinked out. But they were really animated about what they'd seen, and no reason to believe that they didn't see it. I mean, we see stuff up there. Me and Steve Ashbridge have been up there and seen lights that just sort of just intermittently come on and then disappear. I walked up the path back in, I think it was 2019, and I've told this before, myself, Bob Brown, Rick, PJ, Paul Johnson, and Craig. So there's 5 of us as we're walking up the path to the right-hand side, 50 yards away, a triangle of light just sprung up out of the ground. And I've always likened it, if you see children, we see kids draw a kite, and a bit of string, and you see this little triangle. It looked like that. Now there were 5 of us, and 4 of us saw it. Ironically, PJ, who was about 6'3", didn't see it. Not that matters, like, but he were looking other way. But we went sort of either side of Edge Row. We went everywhere because it were in field with us, and there were nothing. I went up next morning very early to see if we could find any scorch marks, because it didn't come from sky; it just burst up from ground and disappeared. That's kind of weirdness that happens. So what Shane and Alex saw, your guess is as good as mine. And I wish we'd have turned around. I wish the other 3, myself, Pete, and Ian, had seen it. But I see Alex is in there now, so you know, he got a good view of it. You just tell people the distance you think it were away from you. I thought 25, 30 feet and 6 to 8 foot in air. So it's pretty up close and personal, whatever it was.
Okay, you can see the question from Stig Beater then. Hi, Paul, any reports of any strangeness around the Malton area?
There has been, and I tell you what, there's a lot of big cat sightings over years around the Malton area, and obviously UFO-related sightings as well. I know I've got reports. I can't just pull them out at the top of my head at the moment, Stig, but I know there's plenty of reports around Malton area. I was coming home from, I'd been working at Joseph Rowntree Trust doing student accommodation years ago, and I was heading to, I'd been over Bracey Bridge, and you're just coming up Garraby Hill, and you'll know Garraby Hill. A lot of people be familiar with it, and there's intermittent clouds, and I saw a ball of orange light that seemed to come up from ground, and it rose straight up, and I lost sight of it because of cloud, and then I saw it going up with a gap in other cloud. Right. And I don't think I'd ever written about it, just a sphere of orange light. But I'll have a look, Stig, and or if you've got any you want to share with us, just let us know. But yes, I'm sort of always looking for new reports and things that sort of tie in with other reports around the area. What we got, Les Hotels?
Yeah, Annie French Boynton is asking, has anyone seen orbs inside?
Great question, isn't it? That, I mean, I've always wondered, Annie, you know, what they are. You know I called them in 2002, 2004, the first website, ILFs, intelligent light forms, when we're looking at these orbs, whatever colour. But I've always thought to myself, I wonder if it's just light, or is there something inside it? And I think it were in book 4, the Truth Proof 4, that the MOD contractor, Johnny, that's his real name, I'll not say surname, no jokes there, people, and he contacted me, and I've told this story before, to say that when he were doing this work for the MOD, as part of the job, they provided him with accommodation, and it looked over the sea, and he saw these gold orbs over the sea, and he'd got high-powered binoculars, and he's looking through the binoculars at these gold orbs, and he claims he could see bronze-coloured pyramid type shapes inside the orbs. So I've not heard that before. I mean, somebody might just say, no, that's common, and but I've not heard it before. But I thought it were interesting. It was a great report because things happened after seeing the pyramids inside the orbs. And not only that, he sent me loads and loads of news articles. Lots of people saw the lights over the sea that night, and the newspapers were reporting it. There were a lot of reports of it. But when they went to bed that night, they got up because they could hear a hissing noise, and they came downstairs, and the TV were on full static, like noise just on the TV. Went back to bed, turned it off, went back to bed. It did it again. And then, without going into too much detail, because it's pretty graphic, he said that he had the most horrendous dreams that night, which he attributes to what he'd seen. And he said he saw dreams where the people he loved, and I'll not go into detail, came to a horrific end. And he could even feel the warmth of the liquid that on his body. So absolutely terrifying dreams, which I've wrote in detail in Truth Proof 4. I've written that account up, and he put it down to the experience of seeing too much when he looked over the sea and these orbs. So it's a really strange account. But seeing inside the orbs, I don't know. Anybody in chat? What's your views? Have you seen inside the orbs, or have you got a view what you think they are? Is it just sort of plasma? Is it just earth lights? You know, some people, that's opinion you're going to form. If that's the case, how do they manage to weave through trees and in some instances move with intelligence? Yeah, I don't know.
I've had plenty of orbs caught on camera, and probably not unlike a lot of people on the stream tonight. I've had that as well. You don't actually experience them in front of you, but obviously they appear electronically on the photograph.
Yeah, there's a lovely fella who lives in York, Bill Rook. People will know Bill, or some will. Alien Bill, he likes to be called, because he's just crazy about the subject of UFOs. But he gets some really unusual photographs. And I don't just mean your dust orbs. You take a picture and people get an orb and it's dust, because a lot of times that's what they are, and they zoom in and you can see a face in them. But we could find a face. I can see people see Jesus in a slice of toast, don't they? Do you know what I mean? You can see things if you look hard enough. But Bill gets some interesting pictures, and then occasionally, whilst myself and Steve Ashbridge were at Flixton, and I think it's happened once at Bempton, a couple of times at Flixton, and it happened in Rendlesham Forest. You'll take pictures with a digital camera with flash on, and you've got like a purple mist that forms around in the pictures. And Brenda Butler, who I keep saying we've got to reach out to and get on stream, she's got, I wouldn't say hundreds, but lots and lots of examples of that from her time taking people round Rendlesham Forest. So it's interesting, yeah. And I saw another question. Oh, but that's not in caps. So Bridget Vanden Bosch says alien probes. And I take it you mean in the orbs, Bridget. So I think it's all on the table. I've got no idea what they are. And, so when somebody says to me, oh, they're earth lights, I can't really argue with them, because I've not got a scientific background, have I? And if some people put a really good argument up as why they're earth lights. But, I would sort of suggest with the things that we've seen, the geology of the land kind of rules earth lights out, But, I don't know.
Okay, Chris James has just asked me, Les, did you get the photos I sent to Paul on Messenger? Has he sent you them, Paul? Or
he has done, Chris, and if I haven't sent him them, but I did say in chat, do you want to send them, Les? And he could maybe put them up. Obviously, you didn't see that. And if we don't get to them, you can send them to Les now if you wanted to on Messenger, or we'll talk about them next week. We'll have a look next week at them.
Yeah. Okay.
So for those that aren't aware, Chris has got a really unusual image, and just send him a still of the image, Chris. Send it to Les via Messenger. He's got a really unusual image of a light on a street. And I did know that a lot of people were saying, oh, it's CGI and it's this and it's that. But I know you actually took this footage. So I'm not saying that makes it 100% legit, Chris, but it looks interesting. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Coming still crazy, huh, Paul and Les? Paul, when and what was your last encounter with the night people?
Oh, gosh. A lot of years since now, mate, really. The night people, that's just title of the book. I don't know what they were. But I would have thought they lost the time that I got those 3 holes in my back. That were kind of turning point. It didn't stop, and that would have been very late 1997. So you're going back a long time. We've had other things since that have happened, but not when you talk about encounters with these otherworldly beings, I'm talking about I class it as when I've woke up with holes in my arm or holes in my back, which I did have, people. And if you sat here and you didn't know that and you're thinking, what a load of, then I'm not trying to sell a book, but read Night People, because there's the medical notes in as well. Don't make it right. I mean, I could have probably got somebody to just stick a hot poker in my back 3 times really deep. I assure you I didn't. But do you know what I mean? There's always somebody going to come up with an answer, and I can only tell it as I saw it. So yeah, as regards the actual encounters, the ones that I found quite traumatic, 1997, 98.
Lee Roscoe is asking, about 2 years ago, Paul had a report in the sticks about a couple with a dog when they heard something coming up the drive and a howl under the window. Has anyone come about it in your area? Has anything come about it in your area?
No. 2 years ago, Paul had a report in the sticks, couple with a dog with something come up the drive, howl under the wind. Oh, yeah, I do remember this one. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I'll attempt to just do it briefly. And it's in the sticks, just like you said. And it's a remote farmhouse in the sticks. And I probably can't do this story justice, really, but not off the top of my head. But I think they had a Jack Russell that used to stay in the bedroom with them on a night, the farmer and his wife. And it would always sleep in the bed between them. And on this night, they went to bed, and they've got a solid, not a headboard, the foot of the bed's solid wood. And the dogs just stood at the foot of the headboard looking out onto the window and onto the open farmland. Never done it before. And it's just looking, it's just fixed, this little dog. And in the distance, I'm condensing this. I've only ever told the story once. And let me tell you why. Because after I'd told the story, and I know it could have brought a bit of anxiety back, I think, to the people who'd told it me. So I'll not go into great detail. So in the distance, and remember that they know their land, they know the farmland and the neighbouring farms, they heard something howling really, really loud, not a fox screeching and crackling in night, something howling. And they both laid in bed and hear this thing, and they knew roughly where it was. And an amount of time passed, let's say 20 seconds, and it starts again howling, but it's now in another field and they know where it is. An amount of time passed, and it starts again, and they know it's in their fields now, and all the time this little dog's just staring. Suddenly they know that it's close to the farmhouse. It's set off howling again, and they said that they'd got loose pebbles and gravel all around the front of the house, you know, driveway for cars and things. And the odd times they'll bring horses on, and they can hear this crunching. And something they claim on 2 feet was walking up their driveway, and it got under the window, and it made out this bellowing, howling, and screaming once again. They were terrified, and the husband says, "I haven't locked the front door." That's what, and they just laid there in terror. The little dog didn't go mad. After a short time, it went away, and it kind of did this sequence of howls in the direction that it came. And just an interesting one. And I could do that a lot more justice, to be quite honest with you. There's a lot more detail to that story. And there's that much pinging around in my head, Lee, that I even forgot about that until you just mentioned it. I had to give my head a bit of a shake to think, what's he on about here? So, yeah, thanks for reminding me, Lee.
Let's have a look. Ian Linney is asking, are Earth lights over the sea?
Yeah, good point, Ian. I suppose if people are talking about Earth lights, though, that it's the tectonic plates that they're talking about, the movement beneath, well below the surface. So they could be, but Ian, he knows that I don't think that's what they are, and he's spent enough time on Clifftops with us that we're of the opinion that there's something else to these lights, and don't mean we're right, but everybody's entitled to an opinion. So the guys the people who think they're Earth lights, so be it. You crack on. I'm not going to argue with you about it, because at the end of the day, it's all on the table. None of us have really got an handle on what it is we're actually dealing with.
Okay. From Rod, Pleasant Paul, what's your most convincing abduction case?
Well, can say I'd have to say my own, wouldn't I? Because I only know my own truth. So I'm either lying.
Yeah. Well, shall we broaden it out to the most famous abduction cases that have been written and talked about and filmed about?
Yeah.
Which is the most convincing one for you, Paul, other than your
own? For me,
Yeah.
I think Travis Walton's case is pretty convincing, and I've met him a couple of times, and he's so sincere and kind of humble about what he saw and what he experienced. And I've listened to him retell his case, and I suppose you would get it polished, you would get it off to a T if you've spent the last 20 years talking about it. I do realise that, but it also got witnesses who corroborated. Well, to some degree, I think one of them might have gone against what he's saying. But Travis Walton's case seems pretty convincing. But for all the cases that are out there, high profile, Rod, there's people sat in this chat. There's people sat in audience at conferences who are sat on things far more interesting, far more exhilarating, far more frightening than anything I've experienced or anyone else that's come out and told their stories. And they're sat there looking for answers and probably not brave enough to talk about it, but they're just as important. And that's why I think channels like this and hundreds and hundreds of other channels out there, thousands in fact, are doing a good job at just bringing this truth together.
I think the Betty and Barney case was a kind of the first one that came to public attention globally. I think that's pretty convincing. And also the Pascagoula case, in which new witnesses have been coming forward even in recent years, haven't they, Paul?
Yeah, we had a doubt. I mean, the Betty and Barney Hill case were incredible, weren't it? And a mixed race couple, which made it even more difficult during the time frame that they reported this, because imagine stigma attached to just reporting a UFO sighting 20, 30 years ago. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, Pascagoula, I think, what, it 1977? I'm not certain. Calvin Parker, sadly, who's passed away, but that case is brilliant. And Philip Mantle and Dr. Irina Scott have done an absolutely incredible job, because like Les has just said, they've found new witnesses and people have come forward that, they came forward before Calvin passed away, which must have been really comforting to him after putting his neck on the line and actually talking about this, because all you're doing is opening yourself up for ridicule, not necessarily on a channel such as Truth Proof, but to the general populace. Yeah, you're going to get some stick, aren't you? So, yeah.
Definitely. And I think we're in a position to put some video up, what's just been sent through.
Is this Chris?
Let's have a look. Who sent this through? Is it Terry Brown has sent some things through? I don't know if you want to look at what Terry Brown sent through.
Yeah, let's do that. And for those that don't know, Terry's one of these people. I've been in touch with him for years, that does some great work and shares the information with other people. And yeah, just really interesting. If we can get it to play.
Oh, it'll play. And I've just got to get it set up. So if you just want to give it subscribe and like and all that, Paul, while I just get this set up.
Yeah. I'll just address some of what Ian said in a minute. But yeah, please do. You know, the Truth Proof channel, obviously you've got the like and subscribe. And somebody spoke to me the other day and said, I'd like to watch your YouTube videos, but it's going to cost me if I subscribe into it. For them people in chat who don't know, it's absolutely free. Well, it costs nothing. So if you've not done it and you feel like you'd like to, just press the like and subscribe for us, because it just helps channel grow a little bit. And like I said, it just absolutely free. But Ian's just said, you had a witness tell you something new that he did not think to tell you. So before we put footage up, I'll just mention this. Yeah, good point. I had to read that then, Ian, and think, what's he on about? But I do know now. We've been looking into a sighting close to Bempton. So it's I don't know what date it were. It were a week last Thursday that this thing appeared. But then Mick Sigson, who the rock angler who gave us this incredible account from 1998 of the UFO that landed on the hill, and other rock anglers saw it, by the way. He weren't the only one back then in 1998. And I have spoken to one of the other men. He told me that when it landed, as it descended onto the hill, all sparks came up around it and there was flames. Well, this connects to the sighting that we've been looking into, this huge orange sphere that was seen on the ground a week last Thursday. And when myself and Ian went, Thursday gone now, I ain't got the dates in front of me, but the Thursday just before Thursday's live stream, and this were a huge orange fiery sphere. When we went, there's no scorch marks on the ground, there's no damage to hedgerow, there's nothing, which kind of tells you that these things, I don't know how it works, I don't know how the science of it works, but they're not hot or not damaging the earth. But jumping to Mick Sigson's sighting, Mick called just as I were going to opticians people other day, and I said, I have 10 minutes, I'll just have a natter with you, Mick. And I told him about this sighting. And I just out at blue, and myself and Chris Turner have interviewed Mick and spoke to him before. And I'm not sure if you have, Les, but I think you spoke to him. And I said, but it can't have been hot. And then he just went, well, that one I saw in 1998, November 1998. He says, next day, he says, I went up onto that hill to see if I could see any marks. And it just shows he'd never told us that. That was just, it's not something that he'd forgotten, but he just never told us. I said, bloody hell, Mick, I said, that's an important bit of information. Well, I never thought, I didn't think it'd be of any use to you. But obviously it is. Because some things are that close, staring you in the face. You're not realizing them at time. But whatever these things are, when they're actually on the ground, in some instances at least, they're not affecting the earth. So yet you're looking at something that looks like a ball of fire. Mick Sigson's looking at something that created sparks and flames. There's no damage to earth. What we're looking at, I don't know.
Odd.
So thanks for that, Ian.
Yeah. Okay, so we do have some interesting.
Margaret Webster,
I don't know any background behind this, Paul, or anything, or backstory.
Well, just let's just play it. The reason we're playing it, obviously, this is Terry sent the footage. I'm not sure if Terry owns the footage. Before we play it, Terry, do you have permission for us to use this? Perhaps that might be worth finding out first. After an experience we went through today, just remove it for a sec, Les, just out of interest. Do you know what I mean? Just for ourselves. Just Terry's pretty good with these kind of things, but he can let us know, can't he? And right, there you go. Let's send them to you to Truth Proof. They sent the images that Chris James sent, so you might be able to get them as well, Les. But have we any more questions? Let's have a look. And Terry, if we don't get to your footage, we will get to it next Sunday. And if we don't get to Chris's, we'll get to that as well.
Here's a good question from Carl Dan. Hi, Paul. Is there any way of reaching out to oil rig workers for reports on the lights?
Well, it's a great question, Carl. And I have had reports from oil rig workers and divers out on the rigs. It were divers out on rigs, or one particular diver that claimed to have seen, first he saw lights under the water, and then he thought he saw a being. So that's interesting. And then a separate oil rig worker, and I'm not going to say where, because he even sent me some communications about orange lights that Coast Guard wanted them to be looking for. They wanted the people on the rig, if they'd got the ability to get up onto the gantries, to look for anomalous lights, because there'd been reports of them, Whitby, Scarborough, down as far as Bempton and Bridlington. So, and I have dates for them. So that's going to be a freedom of information request, really, because I've got the exact dates and everything. So yeah, interesting.
Going so crazy. Have you any theories on why the lights are mainly orange, Paul?
No, but we well, I'll tell you what's interesting, Gavin. I used to blame the Psionics camera and say, this camera does not give you the true colour of what you're observing. Because great little cameras, by the way, I'm not knocking them for what they cost. These things can see in very, very low light conditions. But you fix the camera on these orange lights and the lights look white, which is not what you want when you're trying to tell somebody, I filmed this and it were bright orange. But I noted that the sighting that we got from a week last Thursday, the witness did attempt to get a little bit of phone footage, and it's white. And so since then, I've been looking at orange lights with the little psionics, and they're orange. The red lights are red. Blue lights are blue when you're looking through them. Yeah, these lights look white. The same lights that when they're close to the ground aren't burning the ground. So there's some kind of strange exotic science at work here, even if it's man-made science, and there might be somebody far more clued up than I am to tell us why that could be. I know Jerry Dennings, but he's not in chat, Jerry Dennings really sort of clued up on light sources and the heat and the Kelvin, but I'm not. So I see Chris James says, I have an answer to the orange lights. But don't just say that, Chris. Give us the answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Strangely strange, but
yeah, that would be good.
Totally normal, yeah, totally normal. You need to talk to Professor Salmon about aerogel or aerogel or whatever pronunciation that is. What does that mean, Paul?
Aerogel? I don't know. I don't know. Strangely normal. Is it strangely, oddly normal?
Strange.
You don't want to say that after you've had a few beers, do you? But I'd like to talk to this man. We had a doubt because I love listening to his channel. But aerogel, somebody needs to enlighten us. Aerogel sounds like toothpaste.
Yeah, or air cream. Right. Adam Sander, have you heard Professor Simon Holland on Rendlesham and the SETI? Any thoughts on that? Have you seen any?
No, no, I haven't. But if anybody, I mean, I've never spoke to him, but if anybody is actually in contact with him, we'd love to. I know he's got his own channel and it's really, really popular. So we're giving somebody a plug we don't even know, but why not? But I'd love to speak to him. I'd love to have him on Truth Proof because he could answer a lot of the questions that I'm not capable of answering.
Okay, let's have a look then. Lenny, Paul, you had a witness tell you something new.
Yeah, we've just done that. Thanks, Ian. That was Mick Sigson talking about the day that after seeing the UFO land that he went up onto the hillside, which he'd never told us before. And it were only matter of fact that he told me it was yesterday when he called before, as I went to get these glasses, by the way, people, for those that didn't know.
Lee Roscoe is asking any more thoughts on Bobby of the heat source in Danes Dyke.
No,
can you give us a little brief description of that for people who ain't seen that?
I will do. We've put a short film on about a little trip that myself and Bobby the dog had to Danes Dyke last week. I think it was. I don't know exact date now. And I'm walking down in the darkness. I put thermal camera on a few times. There's nothing to see. And bearing in mind, I did say to Les, I think it was today, I've got loads and loads of clips of different animals on thermal, which are really, that's a long way away what I've filmed there, but they're really easy to distinguish: the deer, the rabbits, the hare, birds in trees, owls. And I did say to Les, I said, I'm going to put all these together just to give examples so that people don't realize that we're not green as grass when we're looking at these things. So I walked down in the dark, about 4:30, 4:45. I'm not certain at exact time, but we're about there. Got to the beach and sort of put camera back up into trees. And there's somebody stood there. There's a figure in the trees. So it's on the YouTube little videos. If anybody's not seen it, have a look. And it's clearly on two legs, whatever it is. I'm not claiming that it's something other than a man or a woman because I don't know. But when you're there at 4:30 in the morning and I'm not looking, I can't see a dog. So whoever it is, he, she, it is clearly alone. And not only that, I know that it's on the hillside. It's not on the path. It's on the side of the hill. And it was very sludgy. We'd had a lot of rain. So your guess is as good as mine. And there's been quite a lot of strange things occurring last few weeks, which is quite interesting. So any thoughts on it, Rivington Pipe Beast, Lee Roscoe? Yeah, loads of thoughts, but I don't know what it was, mate. But it's not stopped me going, and it won't stop me. And just before we leave that, we've got a little harness for the Bobcam. So got a new GoPro. He's had it on. It looks like something from a Benny Hill sketch. Not joking. If you can remember Benny Hill, because he's little, I think if you'd got a bigger dog, a Labrador, walking along a path, it wouldn't be as erratic. So I don't know how much people could stand of looking at Bobby just like he's off. But I will be putting it on, and he is enjoying it. When I went on the beach with all the rocks, I don't think it's suitable because he's just everywhere. But I'll put some footage of it up in next one or two that we're gonna do, Les. So yeah,
and I think people who haven't seen Bobby, I think he's here.
Oh, he's there. Look, the rock athlete there. Look.
Yeah. So
he's many things. Every week he's something different in my head. So that week he was a rock athlete. He's been a climber. He's been a goat. He's part dog, part goat.
Mm-hmm.
And he just puts a smile on my face all the time, people. I've no shame in saying I absolutely love the bones of that dog. And, to some people, everything's just a dog, innit? It's just a dog. That's all it is. But not to me. This little fella's one at family. We just love him. And, thanks for putting that up. Right,
we've got... just looking at the time. Right, okay, so I've got... Ian Linney, Paul, you might have gone over this, but you and Jeremy have found
I start that as a strange reflections. Oh yeah, and he means spot. Yeah, there's a place, and I don't know if Jeremy's in chat, but he's. We know that phone apps. They're not. It's not some refined science, and they're not going to give us some incredible data, but if something's happening that's irrefutable, you can't deny that it's happening. You've got to kind of take it seriously. And he's got this app on his phone that's picking up some kind of radiation. Now you can anywhere up on those cliff tops, it's reading just normal readings, and we'll let's just say normal readings are 20, because I can't think off the top of my head what it's reading. Wherever you go with it. Wherever you go, I suppose if you put it near an household appliance, and it's not an EMF meter, people, so we do use them. This will go up, but there's a place on them cliff tops that when he went near it, it started to rise, and when he got closer to ground, it went to over 200. When he put it on ground, it just stays at 200. When you lift it up, it depreciates and goes. When you walk away, everything goes to normal, so you can walk all over. There's just one spot that it's doing it. And that's interesting, yeah. I think you should be sat here, Ian, because you're remembering more than me.
Yeah, definitely. So look, then we've got Mark Anderson asking, Paul, what camera would you recommend for a newbie?
Depends where you want to spend, Mark, doesn't it? I mean, and Les is the cameraman, really. Les and Chris Turner more than me. But I've spent quite a lot of money on cameras. I spent well over £2,000 on thermal camera. Jeremy had a thermal camera that fitted to his phone. I think it was £350. I think it's as good, if not better, than that thermal camera that I've bought. That's the advances that these things have come on. But I know you're talking about a camera probably to look in low light. I'd say a Psionics, to be honest with you. But I would get the Aurora or the Aurora Pro. I wouldn't go for the Sport, because it's a little bit cheaper. I'm not saying it's no good either, but I think you've just got a little bit more with those two.
I think you've really got to know what your needs are, Mark, on this one, because as Paul says, you can get the Psionics, you can see in the dark, or if you want the GoPro style that Paul uses on his shots, then you have used GoPro and you've used DJI Osmo.
If I could say it, DJI Osmo, I think, is better, and that's got a better low light capability.
Right.
But it's still not going to be. But there again, I've got a P900 which has got a zoom that can take incredible shots at moon. But as soon as it starts to get light, you may as well throw it into sea. It's dark, sorry. You may as well throw it into sea because it's not going to be able to see out, you know. And so Les hit the nail on the head. What do you want it for, Mark?
Yeah, if it's predominantly daytime, then obviously what Paul says. But night times are different, and you've got to spend money when it comes to nighttime filming, haven't you, Paul? That's the thing.
Yeah. I think they're looking at probably £8,500 to £1,000 for psionics, and like the thermal is quite expensive. It's everything costs. There's a Sony. I know people probably get fed up with us talking about cameras now because we want to talk about the unexplained. But there's a Sony. Is it the S7, that mirrorless camera? That is brilliant in low light, isn't it?
Yeah, S7S3. Yeah, with the right lens. Yeah, with a fast lens.
Whatever it costs, that I don't know. You might be looking at £2,000 to £3,000, are you?
Yeah, up to three, nearly 2.5, £3,000, and then your lens, and then but images in the dark, spot on.
So hit us with another one then.
Well, I would if I had one actually, Paul.
Well, I'm looking at one there. Do you think the different shaped UFOs mean
hang
different?
on, I'm just coming up to, just arrived.
Well,
just arrived. Yeah,
it just arrived in my head earlier.
So look, there we go. Got that one. John Alexander. Any chance of estimating the size of the figurine Danes Dyke?
Yeah, you make a good point. I spoke to Les about it. I spoke to Chris Turner about it. And I think only thing we can do, John, and I can't do it on my own because I go up there early hours at morning on my own, and I need two people. I need somebody up there, don't I? And then you can get the thermal, and then you can film them, and then you've got a rough idea. Because it looks small, but it's not, because I know that it's way back in the dike. So I think ideally you want at least one or two people to just keep moving in different directions, and then you've got a rough idea. And if you did that in daylight first and filmed it, and it's an exercise that would take a bit of time, really.
Okay.
Why not?
Fish. Yeah. Do you think that different shaped UFOs mean different species of aliens?
I don't know
if they're attached to aliens.
Yeah, do you know? I don't know. You look at sci-fi programs, and are we shaping that idea, Third Fish, on the way we see sci-fi programs? When you look at Star Trek, and then you look at their enemies kind of thing. And I'm not into sci-fi, but they've got different shaped type of craft sort of thing. I really don't know. And are the aliens? I mean, are aliens as in extraterrestrials? Are they already here? And I know that everybody enjoyed Preston Dennett on Thursday. And if you've not listened to that talk that he did on Thursday on Truth Proof, have a listen. Interesting guy. But in Preston's world, they're all angelic beings, and they're from outer space. And it's not my job to argue with him, because he could be right. But from my own point of view, I think these things are already here. I think they're walking amongst us in some instances, and I think they're probably, when I get reports of people seeing beings walking up the beach and pixelating out of existence, they're here. They're walking amongst us. But I know that's not answered your question, Third Fish. But I don't know. Do they need craft? I don't know. Is it just what do we see what we want to see? Do these intelligences, are they so smart that if somebody wants to investigate cryptids, that's what they're going to see? I don't know.
Okay, let's right then. Here we go. Chris James, now the EU have had their UFO hearing. Do you think it's about time the UK did the same?
Yeah, but would they do that, Chris? Yeah, it is probably about time. But what would it solve? Would it make the truth for you, Chris, any more real when you already know? You see, for a lot of people in chat, for a lot of people who go to conferences, you've probably had your own experiences, and so unless you've really misinterpreted it, and it's you know, in a big way and got it wrong, you've gone beyond believing, you know. So what do the hearings do for anybody who's actually had an experience and knows?
Yeah,
I don't need a government to tell me that when something put holes in my arms and back, and I actually saw them. I don't need somebody from some higher echelon of power to tell me that these things are real. I don't need that faith in them because I know. And that's not a skit at anybody or you, Chris. I'm just thinking, do we need them?
Yeah, I mean, tell me if I'm thinking wrong here, but when you have these hearings, either in EU or America and everything, there seems to be driven by a lot of whistleblowers. Is that right?
Yeah.
So the whistleblowers, what have come out, whether they're either, you know, they can talk about these things, they've left whatever military service they've been in, and so, but then this starts another issue, doesn't it? Because you get the whistleblowers, then people jump on board on top of the whistleblowers and say, well, are these people actually shills or what are they? Are they actually misinformation agents to confuse the issues even more? So I kind of go with what you're saying on that one, Paul.
Yeah. Well, you know, and you make a good point, because we aren't naming anybody, because I don't know if they are or they aren't. We you know, when they come out and everything then gets tied up in red tape and extends the process, everything dissipates into background, and we go years and years down the line, and what they've said, say 2 months ago, it means nothing to nobody anymore, and we're ready for next bout where we're going to get these revelations of the truth, because the last revelations of the truth of all they've just fell on deaf ears. They've just faded into the background, haven't they? I don't know. I'm as green as everybody else when it comes to this.
But if the UK did something like that, at least it's a step. But as you say, Paul, is it a step in the right direction? We won't know.
Nobody's going to be brave enough. I mean, our people in power aren't brave enough to stick their head above parapet for anything that's going to help anybody in community. So they're not going to stick their head above parapet and come out and start talking about UFOs and alien type beings, are they? It's not going to happen.
Got a question here from Ben22.
So negative, don't I?
Yeah. Paul, did the person who lived in Danes Dyke in a tent for years have any strange happenings? So for the people who don't know about this guy, can you just give us a little brief what went on with him?
Yeah, what you're talking about, a chap called Peter, and he lived in Danes Dyke for 13 years. And I struck up a friendship with him years and years ago, simply because I knew where he was from. As we got talking, and he talked about where I used to live, and he just dropped out. He lived there, and then we had quite a few things in common. Although I never knew him when he lived in Swinton originally, and when I lived in sort of Doncaster and Mexborough, but that's how the friendship sort of developed. So when I first got to know him, and I was asking him if he'd seen anything unusual or heard anything unusual, he said he hadn't. He dropped something out like, I once saw a rabbit or something, really sort of dry, tongue in cheek. But then he told me that he'd seen the black cat. And I always say this to people: Peter lived there 13 years. Most of the time, his camp went undetected because it was between the golf course and the very top of Danes Dyke. It doesn't matter now because he's gone. So it don't matter that I reveal where it was. So between the golf course, there's about 30 foot of blackberries and brambles. So nobody from golf course would ever intrude on him. And there were blackberries in front, and there were a narrow passage that he got through to this little area. But where am I going with this? In 13 years, he saw the black cat, the panther type cat or puma, whatever you want to call it, twice. So if a man living in Danes Dyke in seclusion, he didn't play a radio or anything, he just in seclusion, only saw a big black cat twice. And then you get people going, well, I've walked my dog around there once or twice, I've never seen, or I've lived there. Somebody who lives on outskirts of Bempton, well, I've lived there for 30 years and I've never seen, if this man can only see it twice in 13 years, what chance have we got, me visiting Danes Dyke 3 or 4 times a week, but in daytime most of the time, and I've been going early morning. So yeah, in answer to your question, Peter did see things, and I've since found out now he's moved that he's seen even more. I've got his number. I really need to be giving him a call, because I know he's broke his silence about what he's seen. Let's put it that road to somebody at the Salvation Army, because he used to go there as well once or twice a week when he were able, before his health deteriorated. So yeah,
he was an interesting fella, because I talked to him a few times, and and he used to turn up at the car park, and people obviously used to give him sandwiches and food, any types of food and drinks, didn't they? So
he were better fed than me. He used to get a Sunday dinner every week. Somebody used to bring him a hot Sunday dinner. But what you got to understand, he were really well liked. He were unassuming. He were very polite. He were very educated.
Yeah, he was an educated man who fell on hard times.
No, I think he chose that life. To be honest, Les, he chose that lifestyle. Yeah, he chose the lifestyle just to seclude himself, and just don't forget, in winter time when it's getting dark at like 4:30, he'd have to leave the car park area of Danes Dyke and head up into his little tent, and that'd be him in darkness till 7:30, 8 o'clock the next day. And sometimes Salvation Army would ring me and said, because he had a phone, we haven't heard from Peter. We've called, and I know if he were listening to this, I know he'd smile. He wouldn't think I would say no, out of turn. Would you go and check? And I'd go with the thermal camera, because he never had a fire in 13 years. How do you do that? And I'd look up into the trees in the thermal camera, and I could see his heat signature. I knew it, and I'd just ring and say he's okay, because I weren't going up there at just drop of a hat for him, but I'd always go up and check for him. So anyway, enough of Peter.
Okay, so I've no more questions in. So we'll just do a couple of minutes wind up. I've got Karen Beeman has sent.
I can't believe how quick it goes that time, to be honest with you.
Karen Beeman has sent a monetary donation in tonight to the stream. Thank you very much, Karen.
Yeah,
all welcome and appreciated. Yeah.
Well, I'm just looking. There's a Margaret Webster, people that awake, Robert Hilton, just a few people that we haven't mentioned, and Ranch Snapper. I know we mentioned you, and yeah, Chris James. Chris, I want to play that footage, so we'll have a look at it next week, mate. If that's okay with you.
If we got a bit more prepared with that,
and Terry's footage as well. I just want to check that we've got the all clear to play it, because people get a little bit touchy, don't they? So yeah, Ralph Winter, Luke. There's the Luke, and yeah, all good. Yes. It's great to have support.
So we'll say it again. I know we've already said it. Please like and subscribe. We are finding that a lot of people aren't subscribing, but they're still watching the videos, and obviously the likes is going to help all these algorithm, whatever. Let's get up there in the to be promoted on YouTube. Which is good. And the numbers are going up. We're nearly at 9,000. I think we're about 20 away, unless I can update it now. We're about 20 numbers away from reaching that 9,000 milestone of subscribers.
And obviously, I don't say it every week, and I know some people have the channels and all they're doing is pushing the books, but I should do. So if you want the truth proof books, if you want to read any of these books, the paperbacks are available via truthproof.uk. The Kindle versions of these books obviously are on Amazon. If you want mine and Les's film Wolflands, truthproof.uk, or it can be obtained via Amazon Prime. So yeah, a little bit of a plug for information there. And obviously, if you're not interested in that, just keep supporting us with this Truth Proof channel, because we're glad of the support, and it's always great. I love the questions. I mean, an hour's just flown past, so thanks everyone. Thanks, Les. Thank you, Alison, for doing moderating. And
I don't think we've got a guest name for. Have we got a guest for Thursday?
I'm not certain, to be honest with you. I know that
we've got to confirm, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not the best at this getting guests malarkey, but we will do.
But we will have one.
We will, yeah.
On that note, then, we are going, and it's great to have you around on the
Carl
chat
Dan.
tonight. Thanks for all the questions, and we're going to see you all.
Kat's just subscribed. Thank you, Kat. Yeah, really good. And I'm butting in with Leslie, but yeah. Good night.
That's it. Kat, we're probably about 19 away then from the magic 9,000. All right then. On that note, we are going to go. We're going to see you all next time. Bye.
Goodbye.